Skull Kid is the first song on Mejora Majora.
You got a scary little mask, and there's a shot of broken.
A lot of the album was inspired by stuff from The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and there's some stuff from Moby Dick in there and a few other sources of inspiration. My previous two albums were very like spooky, Halloween inspired, and I wanted to bridge those themes a little because, you know, I also wanted my fans who like that spooky stuff to have something to grab onto on this album. A lot of the album was already written, and I still wanted an opening track, and I was thinking over, you know, what's some stuff from Zelda that I haven't touched on that might be a good inspiration, and I thought about Skull Kid, who's the antagonist in Majora's Mask, and I thought, well, that title is kind of like spooky. It has skull in it. People like skulls. I like to draw skulls. I could do something with that. And the character in the game is lashing out, doing these villainous things because he's feeling abandoned by his friends. It's a very like selfish kind of behavior. You know, he was friends with these people that he thinks they left him and abandoned him, and he's lashing out at the world. I think we all know people like that. We've dealt with people like that, or we've been that person. Skull Kid, I'm trying to write from the perspective of you're talking to somebody you know. You're so insecure, but you have everything that you really need. You know, don't be like that. Get out of your own head. You're making everybody miserable. And there's no one set interpretation of lyrics. I think whatever you get from them is what you get from them, and that's how I write them. I try to write them so that you can take from them what you want. This is the first track on the album, so it's the first time on the album you're hearing all these references to your bones and blood and brains and all of this physical body stuff that's gonna reappear a few more times on this album. If I do any more of these videos, I can get a little more into what that means for the album overall and why that is. The lyrics mention a hair shirt. In Christian traditions, it's like a really uncomfortable garment that you would wear that would be all itchy and scratchy, and you'd wear it as a form of penance. So, you know, that line is kind of about you can just take your hair shirt off, and, you know, you don't have to be ruminating on these things that are making you miserable. You can let it go. I wanted the song to be upbeat and like a rock song, but sound a little weird and introduce what the album was going to sound like, so it's kind of a bridge from the previous album. On Mejora Majora, the sound is more rock with taiko drums and a lot of violin, strings, harshly distorted guitars, and drums that are less straight, a little funkier, a little more tribal sounding. I wanted all of those elements to be in this song. So this song, like a lot of the album, has violin from Micki-Lee Smith, and she just sings backup vocals on much of the album too. Micki's violin on this is great. I can't remember which parts I sent her, which parts she came up with, but she did a really good job. I wish you could hear them a little better. It's just hard to get everything to be clear in a rock mix like this. Backup vocals on the choruses from Rainey from the band Sapling. She also sings the chorus on What Right Here in Broad Daylight. Rainey also does some really good backup vocals about 2/3 through the song, I guess like just before 2 minutes in, after the bridge, it goes back to a variation on the chorus, and she's belting out some backup vocals that are quite prominent. That's her there. And some backup vocals from Brian Church, who plays all over the album and plays on almost all of my stuff. And it has guitar, both from me and from Scott Craggs. You can tell his guitar because his is kind of like tick, 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 like funky stuff. Mine is a little more caveman style. I think you put those together and they form the sound of the song. All of these people will reappear later on the album, and all these sounds will. It's just a way to get you in the right mindset to enjoy the 8 songs that come after. At the end of the song, there's a little quiet bit of music that acts as a transition between Skull Kid and the next song, Jabu Jabu. It could have just gone, boom, boom, one song to the next, but I wanted something a little quiet there to give the sense, when you're listening to this first song, that the album might go into some quieter places or some weirder places. There's some sounds in there played by Chris Bargeron, who does sound healing. So it's like those bowls and percussion and that kind of thing that you would do in a relaxing sound therapy environment. I was trying to make it sound like you're at the ocean or something, musically. Visually, I've done a few different little videos for this song. I didn't want to do anything that was actually like from Zelda, because the song's, and kind of inspired by it, but it's not necessarily about that. And I didn't want that to be everything that this was resting on. I did a few different versions of a character with like a big skull for a head or a mask. You can't quite tell if it's a mask or their actual skull face. That kind of ties in with the album cover, where I'm holding a skull mask over my own face. You've got a scary little mask is the first line of the lyrics. But, sometimes people wear masks, and that's closer to who they really are. And that's part of what the album's about. What's your real face? And what's the mask?